Today we have got Jon Hoek, who was born in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and raised as a son of school teachers in the south suburbs of Chicago. He was inspired to agriculture by his grandfather at an early age. In 1986, Jon received his degree in swine management. Currently, he is Vice President of Pig Production for Belstra Milling and Treasurer of the Pig and Pork Education Project, better known as the Pig Adventure at Fair Oaks Farm. Jon has presented domestically and internationally on the topic of pig production in Brazil, Thailand, Denmark, Germany, and Australia. Belstra Milling Company is recognized as a leader in pig production around the world. With that, I invite Jon to share with us the importance of educating others about pork production through his presentation in telling the world about modern pig production.
Thank you, Sarah. I don't know if I need to do a mic check, if everybody can hear me. But I think Jason's got the toughest job in the room today, getting this all going. But appreciate the opportunity to speak to the industry on behalf of the industry on something that has become very dear to our hearts at Belstra Milling, and that is the advocacy and defense of our industry. I know that some people listening to us are frontline barn workers, as well as company owners, as well as departmental managers, and as well as company heads. And so there's a wide variety of folks that are involved in our industry that have been the topic and the attack of a lot of the people that don't like what we do, and we want to be an advocate for our industry because it's a great industry. When I graduated from college in 1986, one of the things that my professors encouraged me was to set goals. Set goals for where your career wants to go, set goals for where your calling goes. And every once in a while I pull that sheet out, and there is nothing on that sheet that says anything about agritourism or engaging the public or doing radio or newspaper interviews. And so, to a degree, we're learning just like I suppose like everybody who becomes good at talking to the public about how to do this. But the beauty of it is we have a great story, and we have great people, and I think that those great people are in this room, and they're on the line as well. With that said, we have gotten knee deep all the way under in agritourism at Belstra Milling, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. And as Sarah introduced, my name is Jon Hoek, and this front picture here is just a little taste of what some of the exhibits are at the Pig Adventure. For those of you flipping slides on the phone, there was one housekeeping. Slide number 11 is moved up to slide number 7. So once we get past 11, everybody should be on track. I think you'll see why, and just wanted to give you a little heads up on that. Belstra Milling Company, a little background on who we are. We're a feed and hog production company who is led by Malcolm D. Krieger, who's our president. And it is we celebrated our 60th year this year. It was started by Bud Belstra, who was very near and dear to us, and I'll introduce you to him in a few slides. We produce about 125,000 tons of complete feed per year, have 6 farms consisting of about 15,000 sows, producing 400,000 pigs per year. 2/3 of our sow production is PIC multiplication. We have a footprint in the industry of supplying gilts to about 100,000 sows, and we have an impact on about 6 to 8 million pigs in the industry. We've been a genetic multiplier since 1986 and have continued that strong relationship with PIC even today. Our farms have been all greenfield projects. They've been kind of brainchilds of Malcolm and his vision for where Belstra Milling is to go for the future. And so we are very much ensconced in pig production at Belstra Milling. We also feed about 40,000 dairy cows from our feed mill, which in 1996 we did not feed one kernel or pound of feed to a dairy farm, and today we supply some of the largest concentration of dairy farms in the United States, if not the world. And so within a 20-mile radius of our feed mill, there's about 40,000 dairy cows. Why do you have to tell people? Why should we tell people? What's the purpose? And there are many reasons we could talk about, but there are three that very quickly float up to the top. We are in a culture, in a global economy where affluence has become, we're getting richer. We're getting more money. And when people get more money, what do? They buy an apartment. They move off the farm. They move into town. They want to have pets. They want to have air conditioning. I was told a figure that in China, the sale of window air conditioners went up 19-fold over the last number of years. And when people get money, they don't want to be hot. And so we're seeing a global affluence, urbanization. With money comes urbanization and necessity, and we'll get into some of those issues here. This slide is number 4, I think. Affluence. Over the last, since 1981, these are sustenance living, global sustenance living. In 1981, about 35% of the world's population lived on $1 a day. Today, that percentage is down to a little over 10%. And so, as a global society, we're getting more money. We're getting more affluent, and you can see the impact of China on that as well. Slide number 5, urbanization. This is a really interesting graph. In 1840, 69% of our population in the United States were farming. And if you think about what farming does to a person's psyche, in the sense of being dependent upon weather, being dependent upon herd health, disease, climate, early snow, late snow, you become a person who is dependent upon something that's bigger than yourself. And as urbanization took hold in America, and you can see today, over the last 100 years with the Industrial Revolution, we become a population of less than 1% that's in agriculture. And one fun fact is, and I don't know how fun it is, but there are more people incarcerated in the United States than are raising our food. Pretty interesting. There's almost 2.7 million people in prison today in the United States, and there's about 2.7 million people directly involved in production agriculture. It's astounding. So what does that do to somebody who had to be dependent on something bigger than themselves? Today we go to the grocery store, buy what we need, take it home, eat it, and trust that it'll be there. That'll be there when I go back. Population. The U.S. population went from 17 million in 1840 up to 313 million in 2013. So the graphs are going in opposite direction, and nobody knows what you do or what we do. And so that has contributed to some of the issues with our understanding of agriculture. Necessity. Global population tripled since 1950. And we've all heard it. That's the mantra of agriculture. In 2050, we got to feed 9 billion people. We don't have any more land, but we don't want GMOs, and we want all the sows outside. That's a problem. Technological advancements. Agriculture has one of the best stories of technology. We finished pigs in central Kansas. And when I went out there to see those pigs, I'm seeing corn grown where only Milo would grow in the past. And you've all experienced that. 300 bushel corn, corn grown on dryland corn, 120, 150 bushel in central Kansas. Astounding, astounding, and it's a great story, and people want to hear about it. So with that urbanization, with that affluence, and the ignoring of necessity, it has produced a breed of professional activism. People that want to elevate animals to a human being, people that want to pursue lifestyles that are imposed upon us, imposed upon society for the sake of an elite moralism. And so you get quotes like this from Farm Sanctuary, that factory farming now dominates all our food production and the industry has a lot to hide. The practices are so egregious that they must actively work to prevent people from learning about them. And so that is a strategy of Gene Bauer, and I know him personally, about you and me. So there's a professional activism that comes with some of these urbanization and affluence. Contrast that to vocation. What is vocation? We at Belstra Milling talk a lot about vocation. And it gets back to that concept of higher calling. As a farmer, we oftentimes do our work out of a sense that this is what I have been preordained to do. And it's something bigger than me. I rely on something bigger than myself. And it is a noble and it is a good thing. And so you contrast that with somebody that's producing something to professional activism that doesn't produce a thing but headaches, right? And so language, he who controls the language controls the argument, and that's something that we have learned as we have talked to people, as we have talked to 150,000 people over the last year at the Pig Adventure, that language and phraseology is a big thing, and some of our opposition really does that well. Embracing the legacy. This is slide number 9. I mentioned I would introduce you to Bud Belstra. Bud Belstra started our company in 1954 and had developed a company that has been very sustainable and very successful in his approach. And that company now is carried on by Malcolm D. Krieger, and we've got an example of that. We're bringing our kids into the business, Malcolm's daughter and his grandson, and Malcolm's son is sitting in there, Nick D. Krieger in the audience, and my daughter Sarah Hook is here. And so many of our kids are coming back to the farm, managers' kids. We've got a business that we can continue that legacy, and that's a little bit of why we named the farm Legacy Farm, because it's a tribute to those that have gone before, and it's a tribute to our future. Vocation gives us permission. Transparency gives us verification. When we get people that come into the Pig Adventure, many of them leave saying, "Oh, I know it's okay." The transparency allows them to leave with a feeling and a knowledge that it's all right. So what does agritourism look like? What does speaking to 150,000, 500,000, 2 million people look like? When Fair Oaks approached us in February of 2011, they said, we want to execute our master plan to be a livestock capital of the world. We think we've got a successful model with dairy. We had been doing some things with Fair Oaks on a smaller scale and really have learned a lot about how to engage the public. So Dr. Mike McCluskey, who's the principal at Fair Oaks, approached Malcolm and said, would you partner with us on a pig farm? And that pig farm needs to be a farm of relevant size. We do not want a show farm or a petting zoo or anything like that. It has to be a functioning farm. It has to be willing to address the issues. And if any of you have read any of our press and our publications, we're wrestling with loose sow housing. And so it has to be willing to take on those issues, be a place or a place to dialogue on the issues. And the farm must have private ownership other than Fair Oaks. It has to be sustainable in order to be open and to provide the tourism activities of the Fair Oaks model. So we're on slide number 14. It's the Fair Oaks Farms Campus Master Plan. And the buildings that are grayed out are existing buildings, and it's a little bit hard to see, but there's a cheese factory that has a restaurant in it. There's the Dairy Adventure. There's a cattle birthing barn. And then the new pork building, which we broke ground on a week ago, is being built here. And that's a 7,000 square foot facility funded by the pork industry that will contain the story of what pigs do for people after they have that fateful day. And it'll explain biomedical uses of pork, food uses for pork, and have a lot of messaging in there. We're working very close with the National Pork Board on that. There's a crop building going in with Land O'Lakes and Winfield that will talk about a growing corn crop in 3 minutes. Then the restaurant is being finished up. It's a 17,000 square foot restaurant and convention center that will have a farm-to-table concept, all with the transparency. Kitchen is wide open. Everything is wide open so that all the food that is prepared can be seen, and the goal is to have 80% of the food served in the restaurant grown on the Fair Oaks farms. And there's a hotel slated for 2015, and then there's as you can see, there's much expansion planned for various eggs, poultry, fish, beef. Purdue is looking at a rural energy exhibit as well. And so there's a lot of futuristic plans for agritourism. This year we're having an air show where the Thunderbirds and a number of planes are going to come in, and we expect 100,000 people to visit us at that time. It's coming out. It was previously held in South Chicago, and the theme is When Pigs Fly. And so we're really having a lot of fun with creative ideas on telling our story in a way that's entertaining and fun for people. The Pork Education Center is slide number 15, and the Pork Education Center, like I said, broke ground here last week, and this particular barn will have a ropes course in it with gamification, with computer gamification that has a pork theme, and so it's a place that we wanted, or the not-for-profit wanted, for kids to come in the wintertime, burn off some energy before they get on the bus to go see the pigs at the Pig Adventure. And it will also have a virtual kitchen. We're working with companies like Treehouse Masters to put in a treehouse inside the building that offers some photo ops and things like that. Fair Oaks is a master at social media, and so we've got a lot of Facebook things going out and interaction with consumers on Facebook. So this building should be completed by February of 2015. The interior plan on slide 16, as you can see, will have an activity area, and the ropes course will be in that activity area. That's a 3-story building, so the ropes course is 3 stories. And then in the outskirts of that ropes course will be various interactive exhibits. One of the exhibits that we're putting in is a virtual farmhouse kitchen where kids can cook a virtual meal based on their inputs and create a healthy, calorie-conscious meal with pork and things like that. I'm a pig farmer. I'm not a design specialist, but we get to see some of that work by people that are really good at telling our story. The Pig Adventure, slide 17. This is an aerial photo of Legacy Farms, better known as the Pig Adventure. And I was going to take you through a little tour, a picture tour of what we've got inside. At the Pig Adventure the buses come in. You can see a garage door there on the front of the green roof building. The buses come in to that area to drop our guests off. That area is airlocked for biosecurity reasons. All of the area where people are is a separate airspace and a separate air filtration system from where the pigs are, to protect pigs from the flus and some of the zoonotic diseases. And so it was quite an undertaking from an engineering standpoint to have a farm that could have 150,000 people go through. And I think the fact that we have not broke with PED yet is a testament, because we know we've had positive people in there, is a testament to the biosecurity program that may have applications in commercial production. The gestation barn is the large barn in the middle, and the farrowing barn is on your left, and the GDU is on your right, which allows us to give a grower-finisher experience in the farm. Legacy is 2,800 sows, and it's producing about 1,500 pigs a week right now, and I'll show you some production numbers when we get towards the end of the presentation. But the first thing you see in the barn, many of our guests have no context to where we come from. So when somebody asks us, why do you have a sow in a gestation crate, they have no context that back in the 1800s, we had pigs on dirt. We had pigs in mud holes. We had pigs that froze to death out in barnyards. And so this legacy wall takes us from actually before Christ to the future. And it's kind of a progressive story of how pig farming has evolved and has adopted technology, and a little bit to where it's going in the future. Farrowing rooms this is a panoramic view. It's a little bit distorted, but it shows you the area where people can view pigs being born. We have 10 farrowing rooms, 48 crates. 98% of that farrowing room is visible. The only thing that's not is the crate or two that's under the corner of the mezzanine that has to be covered up because you can't put a glass floor in and that sort of thing. And so in this particular room, it's kind of hard to see, but to the right where you see the farrowing crates and stalls from the mezzanine, to the right there's a window there, and that's our pig window. And that window is where we bring up a baby pig every 30 minutes. One of the farrowing technicians will come up and we have a show. And people will ask questions about is that a boy, is it a girl, do you castrate it, why do you clip the teeth, do you clip the tail? Every question you can imagine and about that pig. And we have our farrowing technicians that are able to answer those questions, field those questions, and then they allow the people to name the pig. Usually it's the kids to name the pig, and often it's either ham or bacon or sausage. So I don't think we're as bad off as we think is what we come to find. And in the live audience here, Lakin Donkey is one of our farrowing technicians, and she does a great job of giving that show. And so if you haven't been there, you've got to see that. More kind of views of what people are able to do. People are fascinated by this, and often it's the only time that they'll ever see a pig in their life, and much of the time the only time they'll see a pig being born for sure in their life. And so it's kind of a free range experience, if I may use the term. People can walk and go at their leisure, but usually they spend about 2 hours in the compound. Gestation barn has as its signature exhibit a virtual ultrasound machine. And what you see there is that is a PIC 1070 animal, custom made. And on the other side of that, there's a virtual or an ultrasound machine, and the kids can hold that thing and move that wand on the belly of that pig and pick up how many babies she has in her, and then they can print a birth certificate with the manager's signature on it. And that pig is housed in a really nice gestation stall. And so it gives them an immersive experience as to what's going on down below when they ultrasound animals. The end of that mezzanine, it's about 40 feet by 100 in the gestation. And you can sit on the bleachers and you can watch pigs all day long if you'd like. And this is the production floor. What you don't see here is the breeding crates that are on the left side of the picture. You can just get the corner of them peeking through. And but this is what the guests see. And many times we have folks that will stand there for 30 minutes to an hour and a half, and they generally pick one pig, and they'll just watch that pig work his way or work her way wherever she goes. So, where am I at? Slide number 23. Then, as you exit, you go through, because when it's the end, you go through the poo hallway to get to the bus. And so all of the manure from Legacy Farm goes to a methane digester that's on the Fair Oaks property. It's a dairy digester, and we pump our manure to the digester for processing. 2 million people is the vision of Mike McCluskey to bring to the Fair Oaks campus. That is our goal. Fair Oaks campus is 500 miles. If you draw a circle, 500 miles, a radius around Fair Oaks, there's 82 million people. I venture to say that there's been 3 to 4 million that have been here already. And so when you start doing the multiplier math of 1 million people, what do? You go home and you tell 10 people, 20 people, I don't know what the number is, but that's a lot of people. And it gets exponentially higher. We are convinced that this method is working, and we're going to quantify that with some research that I'll talk about later. What is the people's reaction? I had no idea. One lady said to the tour guide, "Now show me, is that a pig?" And it wasn't a joke. She had never seen a pig. She didn't know what it looked like. Wanted to make sure that was a pig. They ask if the pigs are genetically modified. They love the baby pigs. The kids always ask if they can take one home. And the farrowing crate. The question that we get every day, almost every hour, if not every half hour, is, can she turn around? Are you holding her down with the bars? How long does she have to stay in there? And so, without context, and we can't even imagine. Sometimes I think that our theme in agriculture ought to be letting the consumer educate us about what they know, because without context, they come into a farm like mine or a farm like yours, and they say, well, she must be in there 24/7, 365. And when you explain to them why, because you lose 20% of the piglets, she'll lay on them, they go, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And then they walk away content. But without that context, it looks horrific to them. And a lot of our folks, I would venture to say, have not been affected by animal welfare groups. I think it's just an urbanite that has never seen a pig in a farm setting asking a question. So that's an important issue that we as an industry have to continue to stay in front of. 98% of the people that come to our farm have no agenda. They just want to know. It's either a vacation, it's an inquiry into something, into a world that they have no idea exists, and we have very, very little activist issues at the pig adventure. We have some, but 98% is what we think come to the pig adventure just because they're curious. What we think is that as an industry, as we have talked about engaging the public, we think we as farmers are actually, I'm beginning to sense that farmers are very gun shy about what to show because of a lot of the pressure that we've had, and consumers have a really different view of what they see, and it's more positive than what we thought. We were very concerned about pigs fighting and sows fighting. We were very concerned about piglets in the holding nursery fighting. And actually consumers find it quite humorous. They relate it, they tell their kids, look at it, it's just like your brother and you fighting, and isn't that hilarious? I mean, it really is not, we don't think it's as bad as what we thought. And so that's been a real eye-opener for us. So in order to quantify that, we have hired Purdue University, or in some industry groups have hired Purdue University Center for Animal Welfare Science with Dr. Candace Croney, and Center for Ag Business with Dr. Nicole Widmer to do a research project on the impact of what we're doing. I had Bob Morrison out from University of Minnesota. Anecdotally, we think that we're changing perceptions. We know we're changing perceptions just by the number of people we talk to, the feedback we get from our tour guides. He said, prove it. And so we're going to embark on a journey to do some research on the impact of that. And we will present that at the Layman Conference this fall, our preliminary work. And then we should hope to publish the paper sometime in December or January. And we hope that spurs and incentivizes our industry to do even a broader study on that. What are the messages of the pig adventure? We got amazing people taking care of pigs. What a great, noble, wonderful occupation for people to be engaged in. Taking care of pigs to feed people. And so we are trumpeting that from the mountaintops to people that come in. Pigs are amazing. Pigs take human byproduct, stuff that we'd have to put into a landfill and they convert it to a usable protein. And people all over the world want it. And we got an amazing purpose. Our vocation is one of the most noble, honorable vocations out there. What is more noble than providing food for a world that's demanding it and asking for it? And we will never back down to any group that says that what we're doing is evil or wrong. And we have built this farm to engage people in that discussion because it's an amazing purpose. And I'm often humbled and encouraged by our customers and the people that Belstra Milling touches on a day-to-day basis, and I'm sure many of you are the same way, at the salt of the earth, the humility and the expertise of the people that we do business with. Farming is a great occupation that has great people, and we're so proud of that, and we want to tell people about that. So one of the things that we worried about, can you marry tourism and production agriculture and be successful? The pig adventure today is running 30.9 pigs per sow per year. I will say it has not been without difficulty. We were not always at 30.9. We've been there for the last 6 months. There's been challenges of integrating tourism and production. it is a different farm to work than a regular production facility because you're always on the camera or you're always on the spotlight, and it's hard on staff. It's hard to be on all the time. But we have got great people, and they have given us great results at the Pig Adventure, and it is a learning curve. Any new building is, and any new enterprise is a learning curve. But the Legacy Farms is producing to an equal level of some of our other farms, and we're pretty proud of that. With that, I would like to take some questions.
Thank you, John, for that presentation. It's great what you're doing for the pork industry and educating others, and look forward to hearing the research that you have about what you learned about reaching the people. Now I'll open it up for questions. For those of you that are listening on the phone line, remember your lines are muted. So we ask if you wish to ask a question, please press *8 on your phone line. That will signal to Sherry that you're raising your hand, and then she will prompt you. So *8 to unmute your phone line. Otherwise, anybody in our live audience have a question to start us off with?
Good question. Bob asked, how do you afford it? When you go, there's two businesses that end up being developed, and one is tourism and one is production, and they each have their own cost centers. And so when people come to the Pig Adventure, they pay a gate, much like they would at the Museum of Science and Industry or other tourism venues, because it's not free. So it does have a profit center.
How much?
It's, Jamie, how much is our ticket?
$25 for adults, $20 for children, $20 for seniors.
Yep, $25 for an adult.
Private admission for school.
Yeah, $25 for adult, $20 for seniors, and $20 for kids. And school groups are discounted. I think we do field trips for $7.
$6 per adventure if they want to do the Dairy Adventure or the Pig Adventure, but combined it's $10. Very affordable.
Yeah, $7 for school groups, depending on which venue they want to go to. And the $25 is a 2-day pass?
It's 1 day.
It's a 1-day pass, okay. So you can take in the dairy and the pigs.
So the mezzanine for the farrowing, obviously you can't have it over all of the 10 rooms, right?
No, the mezzanine, the question was, is the mezzanine for all of the 10 rooms and the holding nursery? And yes, it is.
Okay.
Yep.
Because I just envisioned like you had it over one farrowing room, and obviously they only farrow, and then 3 weeks later those pigs are gone, some other ones come in. But okay.
Yes, every room is available. The mezzanines in the farrowing are octagon shaped, and the glass is canted. So there's access to 46 of the crates, Lakin? Yeah, 46 of the 48 crates. There's 2 right underneath that little corner that comes out that are hard to see. So.
You talked about it being kind of tough on your staff. What additional or different trainings your staff go through in terms of interacting with the public?
Yeah, we've had some training sessions on what does it look like from the mezzanine, because it's really interesting that in a farm like this you can see so much more from the mezzanine. And so, we went through a whole process. Well, what type of clothes should we wear? What type of boots should we wear? How do we want to present how we're, doing some of the tasks? What do we need to change or do to make sure that that if a sow dies, you have to, how do you get her out without, what's the plan? And so you've had to kind of walk through some of these because a lot of times you'll have 50, 60 people looking down on you as you're working. And so that alone, I think, becomes a bit of an intimidating factor at first. And so we kind of call it as seen from the mezzanine. How does it look? I know one time I was in there and we were talking about breeding, and the three of us were standing there, and one of the other guys was up in the mezzanine, and I said, "What are you guys doing down there? Screwing off?" And it looks like it, but we're talking about, so if you're going to have your business meetings, go underneath the mezzanine, and that kind of stuff. So it's just a different feel.
So all the activities of the farrowing barn are visible, the tail docking, the castration, and can they hear in the mezzanine?
Mezzanine is very, very hard to hear. I mean, you can hear a little bit of if a sow or somebody squeals. Yeah, you can hear that. But yeah, it's all visible. There are time frames that the work has to get done, so it doesn't always happen during tour hours. But if we're in that process, then we will do it right out in front. So.
Do you avoid the tour hours for those, or is it
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Tours are from 9 to 5, and so you can't jam everything into the 9 to 5. If you've got sows farrowing and you've got 30 litters or 40 litters to process, then we'll just we'll get started on that just like a normal. We really don't change any of the protocols that a normal farm. One of the things we've been accused of is being this show farm, and really everything from 8 feet up, 8 feet and down on the production floor is run the same as a farm would be run where there was no mezzanines. So I'll ask if Sherry has any questions from the audience.
I don't have any yet, John, but you might mention for our Portrait Tavern audiences just a bit about the videos that are on the very first slide
Sure.
of the presentation.
Yeah, there's. Did you put those on the CD, Sherry? Okay.
Yes, they're on the first program slide. Yes.
Okay. There are some YouTube videos that we do periodically to touch on various topics, and they're included in your proceedings for those of you listening in. And for those of you in the live audience, you can pick those up on the Fair Oaks Farms Facebook page. And what we do, and it's the first time we feel like we've got a weapon against some of the bad publicity, is we'll do a video on why the gestation crate is important, why the farrowing stall is important, why how does an ESF station work, those types of things. And so Fair Oaks has a very good production department. We just think up of an idea and call up Jed, and he comes over with a camera, and by 12 hours it's live. And so if you go to the Fair Oaks Farms YouTube site or the Facebook page, you can get all those videos there.
Thanks, and I do not see any other questions on here, but you did have Fair Oaks has been in the news just recently too.
Yes. I believe that was the groundbreaking. Is that what you're?
Yeah.
Yep. We broke ground on the pork education building. Yeah.
For those of you that are listening in, if you do have additional questions and didn't get a chance to ask them at this time, John's contact is on the first slide of your CD. So you're welcome to provide questions to him. And we just asked John if any of those questions you think would benefit the rest of our audience, if you could just pass those through Sherry
Sure.
and I, we can pass them around. But we're getting to the end of our time here. So with that, again, I would like to thank John for his willingness to not only present as part of a Pork Academy session, but also as well as doing this joint Sowbridge and Porkbridge session with us. For those that are listening, either in the audience today or on the phone lines that are part of our Sowbridge and Porkbridge, I would just like to remind you that our next Salbridge session is Wednesday, July 2nd, with Dr. Carissa Odlin from Pipestone Veterinary Clinic, presenting practices to avoid antibiotic residue in cull sows. And our next Portridge session is scheduled for Thursday, August 7th, with Brandon Fields from Genus PIC presenting, Getting the Right Pigs to Market. Both programs will be back at their regular scheduled day and time. This concludes our session for today, and again, thank you for joining us.